Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Curious podcast. I'm your host, Amy Butchon-Siegfried, and I am joined by the world's smartest sports person, at least my world's smartest sports person, my co-host, my favorite brother, Scott. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor once again, and I'd say arguably the smartest sports person you know.
I'm pretty sure. Well, A, you're the reason I know what I know about sports. So in my mind, you're a legend.
Okay, well then we'll go with that. I'm fine.
Wait, hold on. Does anyone disagree with me? Nope, I didn't hear anybody. So therefore,
Nope.
I think we're good.
It's official.
It's official. I'm excited to see you this week.
It's
I
been a
get you for
while.
I know, so I'm very excited. So I am flying in to visit Scott, and we are going to the grand opening of the Bleau Hotel and Casino and Spa in Las Vegas. Very excited for that about this. It's been a long time in the making, and the Bleau is officially opening to the public very late, about midnight on the 13th. But we get to go have a sneak peek. A sneak peek earlier that evening into what they have to offer, and I'm very excited. Black tie. Did you get your shoes, by the way?
I did. Are we going to spoil the shoes on the podcast, or we'll have to make people tune into our social media?
We can just spoil it. We decided that we would just wear Dunks, our Nike Dunks, and because who pretends that I'm built for heels for an entire evening? Not anymore.
I'm not built for heels, so
yeah, I would
I'm
hate for
all
you
in
to
on
hurt your
Dunks.
back. I'd hate for you to pull an Achilles, aka like Aaron Rodgers.
And everyone else, Kirk Cousins. So it's a very real possibility. So we're going with Dunks.
It's very on trend for you, though. I mean, if you wanted to be trendy, you could pull an Achilles.
That's my worst fear. That's why I don't play pickup basketball ever.
You know why I don't play pickup basketball?
Because you're
I
not
don't know
allowed to
how.
dunk. Oh. Okay.
Because I'm a terrible basketball player. So that would be precisely why I don't play pickup basketball.
And
I
for
go
fear
the
of
opposite
injuries.
direction. And for fear of injuries, really is what it comes down to. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see you. But this week, also exciting things happening. Bowl game season. So those of you who are not familiar, this is college football bowl game season where everyone loses their minds. We have 43 games in 3.5 weeks, give or take a few. And it is madness.
Starting December 16th.
Starting December 16th, we have 43 football games. Hold on to your hats because it's also NFL season still. So that's just college football, not NFL. So it's very exciting. Let's dive into bowl game season. What people are really looking for now. This is, like I said, such an incredible time of year, an exciting time of year. It's around the holidays, and so it starts December 16th, as you mentioned, and finishes with the national championship game on January 8th. So we already kind of covered that there's 43 teams playing in these games. Scott, talk to me a little bit about how these teams get chosen for these bowl games. Like, what's in it for these teams to be in a bowl game?
And this is the most magical season of the year, bowl season. We've got nonstop football, December 16th, all the way through January 8th, like you said. Bowl season, it rewards teams for reaching 6 wins at least. So you have to have 6 wins to be eligible for bowl games. And then from there, a lot of these conferences have alignments and contracts with the different bowls, depending on where you finish in your conference. That determines where you go, except for the college football playoff, which is the top 4 teams selected by the college football playoff committee.
And those games, those rotate between 4 sites. Now, I'm a little tired, so I might not get them all right. It's the Sugar Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, not Fiesta Bowl. Yes, Fiesta Bowl. What are my other 2? Peach Bowl?
Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl. Okay.
And Cotton Bowl and Peach Bowl, like you said.
So they all cycle through those big 2 games, cycle through those venues, which is really exciting. Talk to me about college football playoffs. Who's in it?
So this year, like you said, that cycles through those different bowls. So this year it's at the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. And at the Rose Bowl, January 1st, the semifinals, we have number 1 Michigan and number 4 Alabama. And then later that day, we have Sugar Bowl with number 2 Washington and number 3 Texas.
I feel like Sugar Bowl is like something I would call my child.
Two massive games to start your new year.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. So we obviously have had some controversy this year, as we do every year. What people fail to remember is that there is controversy every year when these 4 teams are chosen. And this has been in place since, I believe, 2004, right? The playoff. Is that the right number? I have it written down
I
somewhere.
want to say 2014, if I'm not mistaken.
14, you're right. It was a 4. 14, you're right. Sorry, everybody. It's been a lack of sleep day. But so every year there's been controversy. This year was Florida State. Florida State is undefeated, and they lost their quarterback toward the end of the season. And they were not chosen for the college football playoff because of basically their quarterback's injury, which I feel like, let's not dive too much into it because we don't want to get too far, but it's challenging to put that weight on a 22-year-old child to carry their team, and the fact that, or carry their team, and the reason their team did not get into the playoffs and not have a chance because they've won without him.
They did. They won 2-3 games without him, and they put 1-loss Alabama and a 1-loss Texas in over the undefeated Florida State. So there's always controversy, but we've never had an undefeated team not make it. So this year it's just been amplified to the fullest.
Well, and the next year they're expanding the playoffs to 12 teams, and there'll still be drama for that 13th team, obviously, but they're expanding it to 12 teams.
Yeah, it'll be a different kind of drama. We won't have an undefeated 13th seed getting left out and a bunch of angry fan bases. So I think the 12 teams it'll be more fun, a lot more people included, and hopefully a little less controversy.
Yeah, I always find it interesting. They call it the CFP playoff, and it just feels very grand, right? And in every other sport, the playoffs are like a bunch of teams that you wind down to 2. And so essentially, for those who are not familiar with this whole system, is, yes, that's the playoff between those 4 teams, but the rest of them are kind of in a B league or an ancillary prize in these bowl games, because they make a lot of money in these bowl games. Talk to me a little bit about how they get paid, and showing up to the Sun Bowl in El Paso is still going to get you paid.
I mean, really, all bowl season comes down to is money. That's why they created the college football playoff with the 2 semifinals and the finals for money. That's why they're expanding to 12 teams next year, is for money. But since we have the two games for the college football playoff, it is huge money. So each team selected for the semifinal gets $4 million just for showing up. So that's very significant for them in their conference. I apologize. And the conference gets $6 million. So this is a major payout for these big teams. And especially for Texas Texas is leaving their conference, and Washington is leaving their conference. So I know the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are pretty pumped up that they're getting this massive payday right before the teams leave.
It's like a parting fee, if you will.
Yes, and especially for Washington State and Oregon State, there's court rulings that they get to keep all the funds once all the teams leave, since they're the only 2 left in the Pac-12. So I know those 2 schools are extremely excited.
I mean, there you go. And if I remember, Oregon State's playing Notre Dame in the Sun Bowl.
That is a big game. So
in my world, it is.
I don't know who's playing in that, but the teams will be there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I put a note about this in our show notes of, do players sit out if they're eligible for the draft? Is that something that you see happen? I mean, probably not in these 4 playoff games, but is that something you see happen?
Like you said, the semifinal games and the final game, players aren't going to sit those out if they're, top NFL prospects. But other than that, the trend has been growing that, if you're slated top 3, top 5 pick, you're probably going to sit out your bowl game. And this year we've got transfer portal, which currently has 1,500 players in it. So that's
Oh my
1,500
gosh.
players that probably are not going to be playing in their school's bowl game. So it's going to be kind of a crapshoot to see who actually plays. So
I want to roll my mouth at 1,500 players entered the transfer portal. Now, here's my question
yes,
real quick.
which means
Yeah, go ahead. Which
I
means
was
you're
just
not
going to say
playing.
which means they're not playing, and there's a lot of quarterbacks in there. So I mean, it's a great opportunity for a backup quarterback or a third string quarterback to play.
So if let's say I am Dylan Gabriel from OU, and I'm looking for the
Mhm.
bigger, better deal. So I enter the transfer portal. No one wants me. Then what happens to him?
I guess you can always opt to go back if they'll
If they
take you.
want you, yeah.
But in that case, they might go out and get somebody else in your place, and then you're kind of, lack of a better
You're
term,
hosed.
screwed.
Yeah.
Or you go to the
It's
NFL draft and hope to get drafted.
That's so I didn't realize it was that many players. Wow. Okay.
It's gotten
Oh,
kind of
man.
out of control.
It is. I feel like we should just do a whole episode on the transfer portal since all the Dr. Pepper commercials during football games are about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
So,
this mythical portal that players jump into and end up in a different college for more money.
yeah, it's fascinating. Okay, well, we won't dive too far into that because that is a whole nother podcast that we could spend for 45 minutes.
It is.
Now,
It
some of
is.
my
And
favorite.
I'll say that even, I was just going to say that, like, top quarterback, like Caleb Williams from USC, he's not playing. He's already declared he's not going to play, which is probably for the best for him based on how his team season went.
Yeah.
So don't want to get hurt or have something silly happen in the game, so it's best just not play. But he's definitely going
That
pro,
makes sense.
so he's not in the portal.
Yeah, because he's a senior, right? No, he's not a senior. These are things I know.
So yeah, he's draft eligible though. So he's after his 3rd year.
Okay, that's right. He was super young last year. Okay, now I remember.
Yeah.
He won the Heisman as a sophomore.
Yes, he did.
It's all coming back to me now, like the Celine Dion song says.
It's a lot. Once you get that transfer
It's a
portal in your
lot.
brain, it's tough to shift.
But this once again goes back to my first point of the podcast on why you're the smartest sports person in the world.
A lot of random topics we can discuss. So we'll keep going on college football bowl season.
Let's talk random topics. One of my favorite things is these bowl games have the weirdest names, right? They're usually named after their sponsor, big money to be named after your sponsor. But they go and differentiate themselves and obviously really just like a business, you have to differentiate yourself somehow. We've seen some bowl games do a great job with post-game celebrations. Talk to me a little bit about these post-game celebrations and the famous fry shower, mayo bowl, and the Pop-Tart bowl.
Yeah, with 43 bowl games, you've got to try to find a way to get interest and have people tune in. And we're going to highlight 3 of the best promotions for post-game celebrations to kind of draw those eyes in. First one, I know you're a big fry fan, so this would probably be the bowl game you would want to play in.
1,000%.
The famous Idaho Potato Bowl up on the blue turf at Boise State. The winning coach on December 23rd gets a fry shower rather than a Gatorade shower.
It's my kind of, that works.
Much more delicious than getting drenched in cold Gatorade in Boise.
But a good French fry is crispy, but would also be painful if it poked you in the eye. So you prefer soggy fries to be dumped on you, but they would be heavy and then they make your face and your hair really greasy. So, maybe tater tots?
That's some great fry insight that I never knew I needed.
Well, this is what I mean. I am your fry expert, you see.
You bring the fries, I bring the sports.
There you go. Done. See, this is why we're a great combo. Talking about this one, they started, I think it was last year, the Duke's Mayo Bowl and the Mayo Bath.
This may be the funniest / most disgusting celebration with the Duke's Mayo Bowl. We've got North Carolina and West Virginia. And I guess if a coach wants to win the game on December 27th, he may not want to win just so he doesn't have to get the Mayo Bath. The winning coach, they just dump gallons of mayo on them at the end.
Was it last year they had these? It was like two, like they were probably petite girls picking up this tub of mayo, and didn't they drop it on the coach's head and totally like whack him in the head?
Yeah, I think I've never picked up like a gallon of mayo, but I assume it's kind of heavy. Yeah, I think it was
Or
Shane
50.
Beamer of
Yep.
South Carolina, I think. And they hit him in the head while they were pouring it on him. So he's got a concussion. He's covered in mayo. So not the best way to come out of a
Congratulations on
daze.
your win. Okay, and then we
Here's
can't
mayo.
stop. We can't not talk about America's favorite breakfast food, the Pop-Tart Bowl, which is new this year. It's a new sponsor, Pop-Tart Bowl. The bowl game itself has been there for a long time. It's in Orlando, but North Carolina State and Kansas State are playing in the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah, and as they're in their first season, they're coming out of the gates swinging with an incredible post-game celebration. So on December 28th, like you said, NC State and Kansas State are playing for the chance to take a bite out of a massive Pop-Tart mascot post-game once they win. I mean, it sounds pretty delicious.
I'm here for this.
And I think they've done by far the best promotional job of any of the bowl games this season with that cute Pop-Tart mascot that we put on our Instagram.
Yeah, he was adorable. Or she, or it, whatever.
We don't judge genders of Pop-Tarts here. Yep. We just want to take a bite.
Yep, I'm here for this. Now we talked about, I'm gonna wrap us with this one, and we talked about the bowl game names, and there are some very interesting ones out there, and I lost my list, but here we go. ReliaQuest, Music City, which is not a weird one, you know exactly where it's at. The Tony the Tiger Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, but there's one we want to talk about, the Gronk Bowl.
The Gronk Bowl, formerly known as the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, last season when Jimmy Kimmel bought the rights. But I guess he didn't want to pony up the money this year. So now the game is the Gronk Bowl, hosted by Rob Gronkowski and his wild band of Gronkowski brothers.
Do you think he paid for it?
I assume it was a handshake deal that he probably didn't have to pay for it. Maybe USAA, so he can finally get his insurance through them.
If you're not familiar with the commercials, Rob Gronkowski is the spokesperson for USAA.
Yeah, so when Boise State and UCLA take the field, I'm sure there's going to be probably some shirtless keg stands or beer chugging competitions of some sort between the Gronk brothers. Maybe push-up competitions. Everything's on the table for the ultimate bro fest.
Well, I mean, it sounds perfect. Where is the Gronk? It's in LA?
SoFi Stadium, home to the Chargers and Rams.
Okay, well, UCLA doesn't have to travel too far then.
It'll be Gronk's house that day.
That's right, dang it. Keg stands for all.
Push-ups, pull-ups.
Push-up, pull-ups, whatever. I'm out for that. As we wrap this, is there anything you want to leave us with besides, obviously, the Gronk Bowl and push-ups and pull-ups?
I kind of want to talk about the Snub Bowl, if you don't mind. Yes, please. So as we previously spoke about, Florida State did not make the college football playoff in much controversy, but also Georgia, who was number one all season and back-to-back champion, did not make the college football playoff either. And so it's kind of ironic they have those two teams playing each other in the Orange Bowl. So it's Georgia who missed out and Florida who missed out, and all their fan bases are really pissed off. So it'll be interesting to see the kind of effort they put into their bowl.
Yeah, this could be I'm picturing all the emojis that go along with this bowl game. Like, it's a sad face, it's an angry, frustrated face, and it's a middle finger.
Yeah, they already canceled one coach's press conference. So we'll see who actually shows up. Yeah. And they had the college football playoff selection show, and they had a Zoom with the two coaches, and I think they were both on mute, just looking pissed off.
Oh man. Well, I mean, the interesting thing is
Yeah.
like, yeah, I get it. You're annoyed, but there's a sponsor. There are people who work there. There are all these people who, this is a big deal for them. So show up, play your game, take your money, be excited about you're still there. Yes, it sucks you're not in the playoffs, but at the end of the day,
It's an okay payday for the conference, so at least that's good.
yeah, exactly. Well, if you want more like the schedule to the game, all these games, check out our website at lastnightsgame.com. We'll put the bowl game schedule in the show notes as well. So you can find that and find out when you can watch the Gronk Bowl or the sad Snub Bowl, which should be really full of lackluster excitement.
And the Pop-Tart Bowl.
And the Pop-Tart Bowl. Eat a Pop-Tart watching the Pop-Tart Bowl. And then, of course, we have January 1st for the semifinals and January 8th for the championship game, which we will obviously be talking about as we get a little bit closer. So thank you, Scott, for joining me.
Thank you. Go take a fry shower.